Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to The Point. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, there we are. Welcome to The Point. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we have a gang of people. We have Nutzy. We have Josh from Bridge To Buctober. And we have Alex Stumpf from MLB.com. And lastly, we have Cody from NS9. How is everybody doing tonight?
Maybe ask one person at a time what they're doing to how they're doing tonight, DiNardo. Because
no, this is a group affair right now. I'll get to you individually.
Well, I'm doing great.
It's a Friday night, man. It's Friday night. Can't complain.
Yeah. What about you two? Awesome.
Yeah, doing great.
Well, then let's get into the introductions here, as I told everyone who you are. But let's start with Nutzy. Nutzy, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, man. I'm a lawyer out in Montana, really big Pittsburgh sports fan across the board. You guys probably, if you do know me from my content creation. Very active on Twitter. I stream over on Twitch, stream on TikTok, mostly in the MLB The Show community, but I'm kind of a sports gamer at large, and that's kind of where my love of sports comes from.
Awesome. Good stuff. And where can they find you?
Twitch.tv/NutzyPoo, at NutzyPoo_TTV on Twitter, and at NutzyPoo on TikTok.
Nice. What about you, Josh?
I'm Josh. I host the Bridge To Buctober podcast along with my brother Jake. You can find me all these things at Bridge, the number 2 Buctober, pretty much everywhere. So happy to be on tonight.
Great stuff. Alex?
I am your reigning fanboy, NS9 fanboy beat reporter of the year. I cover the Pirates for MLB.com, and you can find me at Alex J. Stumpf.
Gloating.
It's only the first time, by the way.
Gloating. I don't know if I should give you some points there or not. Cody, you're next.
I'm told I'm a man of many hats, especially when it comes to NS9. But no, I'm just the guy that knows the least about baseball on NS9.
I mean, so, no lies.
Fun to be here. I'm excited. It's cool to be on The Point because this was kind of like DiNardo and I's brainchild from 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's good to finally get it in motion. We got a lot of kinks, got them out of here.
Pause.
We're live. Hopefully there's no more kinks like we had 2 weeks ago on the premiere. But yeah, excited to be here. Excited to see what The Point will become in the future. So
nice. Well, good stuff. Before we go any further, though, of course, let you all know BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything sports betting. Every stat, every matchup, breakdown, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games, with the largest catalog of odds on everything from football, MLB playoffs, NHL, NBA, and political props. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. So, fellas, let's get into The Point. As everyone knows, our first round here is the vibe check. And with the vibe check, we keep it light. You'll have a minute to tell us why and what is your favorite Halloween movie. So let's go ahead and start with Cody. Tell us your favorite Halloween movie and why.
I was hoping I got to kick this off. I'm not the biggest Halloween guy. I don't like to be scared. I'm very timid. I'm a big teddy bear. But if I were to go with my favorite Halloween movie, a classic series, I'd go with the Halloween series. All the Michael Myers movies. Give me all of them. Even the bad one. What was it? Michael Myers H2O. That one was terrible. But still, give it to me. I love it.
Is that the one with Busta?
I have no clue, honestly. There's so many.
I feel like there was multiple H2Os also, but go ahead.
Why are you cutting into my time? I didn't yield my time.
I'm the host.
But no, Halloween's just a classic. Michael Myers, that whole story, it all got concluded just a couple years ago with the trilogy that came out, which was phenomenally done, in my opinion. The second one was the best. The third was the worst, but that's how it goes. But yeah, you can't get better than Michael Myers, in my opinion. It's a classic. It's slasher horror. It's not over the top. It's slightly psychological. It's perfect. Honestly, it's perfect for the whole family, and that's why I love the Halloween series.
Kind of lame. Went pretty safe there, I would say. So
Hey,
you get
I'm
2
just
points.
going with the truth here. I'm not trying to, bring a wow factor. I'm just being truthful.
Whatever. All right, Alex, you're up.
I mean, if we're doing what's best for the whole family, then it's The Nightmare Before Christmas, right? And I know half people are gonna say it's a Christmas movie or a half Christmas movie, but come on, it's fun. It's got enough spooky elements. So the songs are great. It's a lot of fun. You can watch it twice a year.
Twice a year. All right, makes a good point there. All right, so Nutzy, speak to me.
I mean, Alex just stole my thunder straight off the get-go. It is Nightmare Before Christmas. So I'm not a big scary movie guy. I'm not a big horror movie guy. I want a movie that kind of has that aura of the holidays that I can just really sit down and enjoy. I'm a huge Disney adult personally. Disneyland does a overlay for the Haunted Mansion that's Nightmare Before Christmas themed every Halloween and Christmas. And it's one of my favorite rides of all time. Not to mention, with Nightmare Before Christmas, you have some of the most iconic characters in the Disney history, but maybe movie history, between Oogie Boogie, Jack Skellington, and Sally. It's basically sells half of Hot Topic every time during this time of year. Every emo kid growing up wants to be Jack and Sally with their significant other. It's a cult classic. It's an absolute icon. Nightmare Before Christmas has to just be right at the very top of the list.
Like it. All right, Josh, you're up.
I thought that I was going to be the only one who didn't have a crazy Halloween movie. I actually don't even like movies that much. So I don't know how I'm going to play into this. When I think of October 31st, I guess for me, I think of Game 4, 2001 World Series, the night that Derek Jeter became Mr. November, the walk-off home run in the 10th inning, right as the clock struck midnight, as he was approaching the plate. I think there's drama. I think there's shock value. Listen, I don't know. Shaun of the Dead? I don't know. Simon Pegg's kind of funny. I got kids. They like Hotel Transylvania. I have no idea. I don't do movies. I don't really do scary stuff that much. I like to have a good time. If it's not Chris Farley, I don't know why I'm watching it.
I'll tell you what, for the curveball you threw in there, I'll give you 2 points on that one. Yeah, you're losing me at the whole Derek Jeter and going the baseball theme, but I mean, I get it. I'm not much of a movie person either, not these days, but there you go. All right.
And I haven't seen any of the movies that were mentioned, so.
My man, totally winging it. Love it. All right. Well, there's the vibe check. Appreciate everyone. So right now we got Cody with 2, Alex with 2, Nutzy with 4, and Josh with 2 as well. So let's do this. We'll get into actual Pirates trivia now, as mentioned. The first very topic I want to talk about. Now, this week, Jared Triolo was nominated for a Gold Glove Award for that utility position. And so the question I kind of have for you guys, I want to state, have you state your case. For one, I'm kind of curious. Is Jared Triolo deserving of this? And also, is he the only one who is deserving? So let's do this. Cody, you're not going first this time, buddy. Let's go ahead and go with Josh now. You're first. You wanted to get run the baseball right away. So here's your shot. You go first. Tell us, is Jared Triolo deserving of this? And is he the only person? Was there maybe someone else that was more deserving to get nominated for a Gold Glove this year?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go on the first or the second question first. He's probably the only one on the team. It is a utility role. That's kind of a weird criteria. There's not a lot of guys. I don't think Key has enough innings to even qualify anyway. His numbers would have been better than Triolo's at third, but this is, that's why he's got the utility. Most of his defensive runs saved come from when he played second base. So there's some validity to it for Triolo. I don't know if he has a chance to win it. But if you if you hate errors, he only made 3 of them. You know what I mean, in all the time that he played. But I don't know. There's not really anybody outside of Mike Taylor and Key Bryan that really was good at defense on this team this year. So Triolo's kind of an outlier there. I think as far as the Pirates side of things, on our show, we do a Gold Glove for the Pirates. We gave it to Triolo. So I guess it would have to be my answer, right? But as far as can he win it, I don't know.
Fair enough. Good stuff. Nutzy.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about people who are legitimately like deserve to be a finalist for the Gold Glove on the Pirates, it's really only Triolo. Key, if he would have had his normal games played, obviously probably would have been right there. Although I think the back injury really limited his range at third base and really hurt him as a defender this year, ultimately. So I don't know how that would have played out. You can make the argument that Michael Taylor might have deserved it, but only starting, 80 games and playing in 100, even with the good defensive metrics, probably prevents him from winning it over some of those guys that are like everyday players out there in the outfield. As far as it goes, I mean, like Triolo had a fairly good defensive year in a decent amount of time, having to split positions with a lot of the other guys on the team, like IKF. He ended up with a 1.1 D-WAR, which is pretty solid, 6 defensive runs saved, which is pretty okay. So as far as like that utility role, I think Triolo deserved to be there. I just don't think that there was anyone else on the Pirates that did. Now, I will say it's very unlikely Triolo is going to end up winning the award over Donovan or Kike, especially Donovan, being that he played so many games this year at so many different positions and played all of the positions really well. I would guess that he's going to win it, but I think Triolo is at least a deserving candidate there.
For the vibes guy, he sure put a lot of stats there.
Hey, listen, man.
Well, let's go to the stats king then. Alex.
I'm going to just throw 2 stats out here. Michael A. Taylor's 12 defensive runs saved, tied for the most among National League center fielders. Hayes's 10 defensive runs saved, tied for second among National League third basemen. Now, I agree. I think the back did impact Key, in the field, and obviously kept him off of the diamond for a good chunk of the season. And there's kind of a elephant in the room with Taylor that if he would have hit, I think he would have just cleaned up and won this award easily. But they couldn't justify starting him in center field whenever he just couldn't hit, pretty much the entire season. So for those reasons, I do think Triolo is the most deserving here. 7 defensive runs saved, and that includes, being thrown out into the outfield against Arizona and, making a game-saving catch there. That includes going to shortstop, a position that he's maybe not really set up to do well, but he held the fort down there. He had to learn second base, a lot, in the major leagues this year. So I think he is what you would consider a good candidate for this utility Gold Glove award. If I had to take a guess, I do think it will be Donovan who wins. I mean, that's just a pure guess on my part, but I think he is deserving of a nomination, and good for him. I mean, he stuck through it the entire year. He had to do some things, bounce in and out of the lineup, at different points. How often does he play? I think that all factors in, even if it is a bit anecdotal. Stats hold up, though.
Love it. Good stuff. Cody.
All right, so
give us the American dream.
Out of myself. Yeah, I'm going to give you the American dream. So I broke this down into 2 different statistics to figure out who on the team was most deserving of a nod. And it was by fielding percentage and then defensive runs saved above average. The 3 guys, or 2 guys in addition to Triolo, that I think could have been deserving were, one was mentioned, Michael A. Taylor, who had 98.7% fielding percentage, and then 11 defensive runs saved above average. The other one was Rowdy Tellez. Rowdy Tellez had a 998 fielding percentage and -3 defensive runs saved above average. So that hurts him, the negative defensive runs saved. But the big guy was out there throwing the glove around. I respect it. As a former first baseman, I respect it. He wants to field a ground ball, and I appreciate that. But out of those 3, I think it's obvious that Triolo is the only one on this team that is really deserving of a spot of a finalist for the Gold Glove. When it comes down to who's going to win it, I go with Alex. I think Donovan is going to win it. And I think the reason Triolo really won't, because I think he is deserving of a win here, but I think it will go to Donovan because you have a guy like Triolo who isn't really known around the league. He's not a big name, and he's playing for a really bad team. Whereas I think the reason Cabrian does win and he plays for the Pirates is because he's he's undeniably good at fielding at third base. I feel like that's the biggest reason that he would win in his third base position. And Triolo doesn't win because you ask a casual fan of baseball, they don't know who Jared Triolo is. But I bet you they could tell you who Cabrian Hayes is off of a specific web gem that he's made. So
are you saying Cabrian's going to win?
I'm saying he would win if he was.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because you're about to get negative 5 points.
No. Basically, what I'm saying is the reason he does win and like he won in last year is because of who he is and his.
Gotcha.
Not to counter that, but how did Jacob Stallings win a couple years ago then?
I mean,
I didn't really pay attention.
Well, let's do this. Nutzy, go first.
I think that realistically, I kind of agree with what everyone's saying. I think if he had a full year, he probably does end up winning the Gold Glove at third base again. Rowdy is a little bit interesting choice because he did make some really good plays at first base, but realistically, I don't think you can consider him like an elite fielder at first base or consistent enough there. Like someone like Carlos Santana last year, if he would have played his whole year with the Pirates, could have been in that conversation. But real quick before I go, can we talk about another player that didn't get nominated for a Gold Glove? Jackson Merrill. Even though I heard about his Gold Glove caliber defense all year from San Diego Padre fans, not mentioned.
For the trolls, I love it. Alex, you're up.
I was just going to clarify that it's coaches, not fans who vote. But a big reason why, at least trend I've seen, availability is the best ability because you might only see those coaches a couple times, 2 series a year. So being able to have that impact, quickly, I think that really gives, an edge to someone like Triolo over someone like Taylor or Hayes, who may have graded out a little bit better defensively, but, just weren't on the field.
Josh, in rebuttal?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing about coaches being the voters. So I think there's some I think there's a little bit less of that notoriety and whether or not people know them. Coaches are watching them. They know who made the plays against them. And I think what maybe helps Triolo in that case get to where he got was because he wasn't just a plug-in play every once in a while, but he actually got some runs to play every day. Early in the season at second, late in the season at third. And so I think there are some people who got to see him day in and day out instead of maybe even like a Mike Taylor. Yes, I call him Mike Taylor. If he's better, he can get the full name. But anyway, with him, he was playing a little more part-time in that sense. And so you're not in front of people's eyes. They're not thinking of you.
Good stuff. Cody, last chance.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything that everybody said. Like it's a coach vote, obviously, but I do think there is a little bit of notoriety with like who you are. Like people know who Cabrian Hayes is. Triolo, this is what, his second full season in the league, or actually I think it's his first full season. Last year he came up midway through the year. He's not a guy that everybody knows. Obviously, like Josh said, like they're gonna know the guys that make plays against him. I couldn't tell you how many like great plays Triolo made this year for a coach to be like, hey, I think that guy should be considered. So that's just why I think he wouldn't win, because I don't think he made enough great plays to be noticed.
Good stuff. Good stuff, guys. Yeah, what I found funny too is like the reason Cabrian never won it is because he never hit enough. And not that Triolo is winning it, but he's one of the worst hitters in baseball and he's up there. So for that fact alone, he's not winning it because he can't hit.
Big Tree can't hit? What are you talking about? What are you smoking?
He finished strong.
He did. He did. He fooled us once again. All right, guys, great stuff as always. Let's go on to the next category here. So we're talking about free agency coming up. So I want you guys to go ahead and spit your one person. Tell me the one guy that needs to be a Pittsburgh Pirate in 2025. Let's do this. Alex, you go first this time.
I look at this team. They've got the starting pitching down. They're going to add to the bullpen in a couple ways, but the one free agent that I think would make the biggest impact, I look at that outfield. I see O'Neal Cruz in center. If they keep Brian Reynolds in left, and they haven't had any formal discussions about moving him to first, you still need that third. And maybe you could say Sawinski or De La Cruz, but man, would Tyler O'Neill just absolutely fit in perfectly here. We know this team loves good outfield defense. He's a potential Gold Glover. You could put him in left field. That's great for O'Neal Cruz, to have a Gold Glover to his right with that notch out there. That's great. Right-handed power. This is kind of like the perfect, what I think a lot of people thought like Taylor was going to be, like the great defense and a source of power on top of that. Okay, but this guy has a much longer track record of offensive success. You're going to get some OBP to go along with it. I think he is the type of guy that you do splurge for.
Love it. Love it. One thing I'm curious on is the team loving outfield defense. Maybe in theory, I would like to see it.
I mean, they signed Taylor. They signed Jake Marisnick. I'm just telling you off. And then Brian Reynolds was, the worst buyouts above average in left field.
Right.
Year. That's
Yeah. Anyways, all right, Josh, go ahead, speak to us.
I love the Tyler O'Neill thing. I'll go a different way. I think if available, I might be saying Hassan Kim for shortstop. That'd be somebody that I'd be interested in. But since we don't know, I had to go somewhere else. I think that left field, first base situation is probably a pretty good place to start. I will go if I had to go specifics. I'm going to go Jeff Hoffman. Jeff Hoffman, the last 2 years, has been incredible in the bullpen for Philadelphia. The bullpen was supposed to be a strength. We've got three guys back there that we like as a strength: the Majinski, Holderman, and Bednar. All three of them had spouts of a bad season last year. All three of them have question marks in the offseason, specifically and maybe most notably Bednar. And I won't say anything else on that. But like I think about when you go out there, you're going to have two lefties. You're going to be piecing those together. You need one guy in the back of that bullpen who can maybe do like what you were expecting and what you got from Chapman in saying, you got to have a guy who's going to be nails back there. You got to have a guy who you can rely on in case those guys don't work out. But if they do, all it does is make everything a little bit stronger. And I think that he's, the numbers are incredible. And he also saved 10 games last year. So I think for me, it's Jeff Hoffman, but I really like O'Neill was on my list too.
Good stuff. All right, Cody.
So I was going to go Tyler O'Neill. I'm glad I had another option, but I'm going to go with that same situation of the outfield. In my mind, in my perfect world, I think Brian Reynolds moves to first base, so we don't have to worry about that problem anymore. And we find that outfielder, and I think that outfielder could be Anthony Santander. I think he would be a great addition. He'd be an upgrade, and this is how I broke it down. You're trying to upgrade the player that was at first base because you're already putting Brian Reynolds there, right? So to upgrade from Rowdy Tellez, I would go Santander. Had a significantly better OPS. I mean, he played more games. He had more home runs, more RBIs. He's just an all-around better player than Rowdy Tellez, who you're trying to replace. And I mean, he's come up big in big spots for the Orioles this year as well. He may not be the most consistent outfielder, but he does have the bat that I feel like the Pirates are missing. And that's really what it comes down to, is who's going to jumpstart this offense. Obviously, Andy Haynes is out of here. We don't know who the hitting coach is going to be yet. At least I don't. I don't know if Alex has some scoop or something. But but like you need somebody to jumpstart it, and I think Santander is the guy to do that. It's really, I don't know what else to say. Anthony Santander, give me Santander.
Get us down Santander. All right, Nutzy.
Yeah, so I mean, everyone kind of acknowledges the big Achilles heels with these teams: the corner outfield positions, first base position, and our reliever situation, our bullpen situation. We had two people go with the outfield, one people go with the reliever. I'm going to fix the other issue, first base. In probably my whole life as being a Pittsburgh Pirate fan, I don't feel like we've ever really gotten consistent first base play. Even through the peaks of Josh Bell, you kind of waited for the other shoe to fit. And the person that I want to come to the Pittsburgh Pirates would immediately fix that, at least for the next couple years, and that's Christian Walker. I would consider Christian Walker to be one of the most underrated baseball players in all of Major League Baseball. He's consistently putting up great offensive years in Arizona, and I don't feel like really anyone talks about him, all while having Gold Glove caliber defense at the first base position. He's had over a 110 OPS plus in 6 of his 8 seasons in his career, has had over a 120 OPS plus in his last 3 years, including over an 800 OPS, has hit more than 25 home runs in each of those 3 years, and has won Gold Gloves in 2 of the last 3 years at first base. That would be an elite pickup in the middle of a order that really, really needs an injection of power. Christian Walker, elite player. He could come over and be like what Paul Goldschmidt was for the Cardinals after he left Arizona, although I think Goldie overall is a better player than Christian Walker is. But I would love Christian Walker to be a bat in the middle of the Pirates order.
Good stuff. Quick rebuttals. Josh, got anything?
Anthony Santander is going to be as bad or worse than Reynolds in the outfield. And Reynolds does fill the hole at first base in the same way, if that is how it plays out too. So I don't know. Maybe that's it.
Alex?
I thought I was pushing the envelope like a 15-ish million guy. Santander's going to sign for 9 figures, man. Do you not remember the Brian Reynolds song and how hard that was to do?
Hey, he's a dreamer.
Hey,
let him go.
I get it. Money is an issue here. I understand that, but if you want to win baseball games, you gotta pay up a bit. We know that's not going to happen, but I would like for that.
Talk Teoscar then.
Yeah, Teoscar's an option. That was somebody I looked at, but
Juan Soto. Why not?
Juan Soto.
Right there, my guy. It's in the graphic. No one said Juan Soto. Would have got all the points. Nutzy, rebuttal?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all kind of throwing out names. Hoffman's probably the most, I would say, reasonable by our expectations of the Pirates, although Tyler O'Neill, if he comes in at a reasonable price tag, could be someone. And I believe last year it took him a really long time to sign or find a home. So I could see that happening again this year. I would say that this is not the strongest corner outfield market as far as it goes, outside of course, Soto being like a generational talent out there. But outside of that, there's a lot of like mid-tier guys that I think the Pirates could very well be on. But the point of this question, at least from my purview, was who's our ideal best case scenario? Who would we take as a free agent? And that's why I went all in on Christian Walker. Plus, I do think that Christian Walker, theoretically, being that he's going in his 34-year, he's 34 years old, I think that's going to scare a lot of teams from giving him like a massive multi-year contract. And if he ends up at free agency and his agent realizes he's not really getting the calls that they expect him to be, he could end up in a Rhys Hoskins situation where he goes and signs like a 2-year deal for maybe a team that you didn't expect them to end up with. And that's how you end up with a guy like Walker on the Pirates.
So the other team, and not the Pirates.
Well, I mean, fair enough.
All right. Good stuff. Well, let's do this. So, guys, we are finished with that second to the last round. So, Cody, you got 7 points. Sorry, buddy. Guess what's happening to you?
This is why I like Jim better than you.
Fair enough. And Josh, great showing. Love it. But you have 13, just short of the next round here, too. So, we're going to say goodbye to you. Any last words?
Thanks for having me.
So polite. You both get the Andy Haynes. All right. So next round here, we got Nutzy versus Alex head to head. Last round, we are talking David Bednar as Josh politely saved his Bednar talk. So what do we do with David Bednar entering 2025? There's a lot of talk. He's going to cost potentially over $6 million in arbitration. Do you tender him a contract? Do you not tender him? Is he a Pirate? Is he not a Pirate? What do they do? I'll tell you what, Nutzy, you do have the slim lead right now. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of have to roll Bednar out there again for 2025. It just is what it is. He had a really, really down year in 2024. He started the season with a lat injury, literally coming out of spring training. And I think that really impacted his kind of preparation going into the season and carried him in all throughout the season. And then you consider, and no one knows if this is the case, but Trevor May with the accusations about him tipping his pitches, maybe that's something you can get corrected in the offseason. What we do know is throughout a vast majority of the season, at least this year, his velocity was down, his control was not there. Players were not swinging and missing at his stuff like we expect them to. His FIP shot up, his ERA shot up, the blown save shot up. All of that is really, really bad, but I think we've seen enough and have enough of a track record of Bednar as a pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates to give him another opportunity to come in and be a pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Obviously, he has the hometown feel as well. People love him, or did love him until, the roughness that goes this year, but he's one of those guys that really could be the face of the franchise at the back end of the bullpen if he can figure it out again. $6 million in arbitration potentially, yeah. Although after this last season, I would have to guess that number is going to come down at least somewhat. And realistically, you probably don't bring him in to be the everyday closer right out of the gates in 2025. Put him in the lower leverage situations, even though he kind of struggled in some of those towards the end of this year. Let him see if he can regain his confidence, become that FU closer that he's been for his whole career in Pittsburgh, and see if he can turn it back on for 2025. But there's no reason to get rid of him at this juncture. You'd either be non-tendering him or you'd be trading him at literally his least possible value that we've ever had with David Bednar. I think you're basically in a position where you have to roll him back out for 2025.
Alex.
I'm going to second what he said just to start off here. You tender the contract. Because you can't non-tender a two-time All-Star after 1 year. And if you trade him, like Nutzy just said, it'd be the lowest value for someone that teams have called about a ton the last couple years. I mean, you were selling him for pennies on the dollar of what he could be. So I do think you do go into next year, even with him, projected as the closer. With that in mind, though, probably should get a Jeff Hoffman, should probably re-sign a Aroldis Chapman. You should have a reliable setup man that you could put into that spot in case something goes awry again. He wasn't locating his fastball up. His velocity was down. Maybe he was tipping. We have a long list of things that went wrong. I'm willing to throw away his whole April because he was not 100%. That was his spring training. From May to before he hit the injured list again, that was David Bednar. His ERA was in the low twos. I think he was perfect in his save opportunities. That was just Bednar, plain and simple. He gets hurt again. He's not the same guy. Maybe he was tipping. Maybe he just wasn't able to execute the way that he was beforehand. This is a huge off season for him because he can't do this again. He can't do this again. But you do tender him a contract. I'm sure they can come up to an agreement that's, not going to break the bank or what MLBTR, projects right there. Figure it out because this guy can be a face of the franchise. And we saw for 2 years that this guy was one of the best relievers in baseball. And what better gift can you give, a starting pitcher than just knowing, hey, you carried a lead, giving the ball off to the ninth inning. Now we're going to get you the win. That's the best thing you could give to a Paul Skeens, a Jared Jones, just the peace of mind that the ninth inning will be taken care of. So if you have that, you have to invest in this bullpen beyond a setup man anyway. I think that's the whole, you got to tear that down to the studs and, figure out what you got there. But if David Bednar is the closer going into 2025, I am fine with that.
Nutzy.
And yeah, I mean, realistically, where I'm kind of coming from on this is the bullpen potentially was the reason why the Pirates did not make the playoffs this year. There were so many games that were lost squarely on the bullpen falling apart from the seventh inning on. I don't think You make the bullpen better by removing the bullpen coach and getting rid of established pieces in the bullpen. And David Bednar, for even as bad as he was in 2024, and there were some really, really low lows with him, he is an established bullpen piece. And you gotta count on those guys when you have them. The Pirates have been really, really good in the last decade plus of developing solid bullpen pieces. So you hope that you can go out and do it again. But when you have a known commodity and you're hoping that you're coming into your championship or slight contention window, you got to keep those guys. You got to keep the known commodities. This isn't a time to be a seller. This is a time to develop what you have, figure out what you have, and hopefully get David Bednar right for 2025.
Alex.
And David's getting his own old throwing partner back this winter. He didn't get to throw to Will Bednar all of last offseason. He gets him back this offseason. I wonder how much that's going to spark, how he approaches this offseason in general.
Nice. Throwing some of that inside info out there.
Just a little.
Nice. Well, guys, I guess that wraps things up. So with that said, looking at it, Nutzy takes home the second episode winner right now. Nutzy, congratulations. You win today for On the Point. Talk to us.
I sandbagged so hard. I want you guys to know I did so much research. I had so many tabs pulled up on my computer going into this. I was not going to be the stereotypical content creator coming in here and looking like a fool. I was going to come in. I was going to win this goddamn thing. I wake up in the morning and I piss excellence. It's what I do. And I wasn't going to be a loser today. I'm not going to be wake up and be a loser tomorrow. I follow enough teams that are losers right now. I'm not going to allow it to be me, man. I'm going to come in and I'm going to win. I'm doing my best.
Love it. So far, perfect speech. And I gotta say this, Alex, really what won it was the whole Jackson Merrill comment. I mean, he got those 3 points that cleared it. So, hey, sometimes you gotta pander to me. I'm just saying.
Before we go, I have never fallen out of love with a team and a fan base faster than I have fallen out of love with the San Diego Padres over the last 3 months. My mentions have been a cluster. I got to the point where I was bookmarking people saying that they were going to win the World Series and I was going to pull out those receipts, bro. I cannot do this. I cannot do this, fan base. And I will go to bat to Paul Skeens till the end of time because he's my guy and he's one of the best pitchers we've ever seen. But I want nothing more than to him be the rookie of the year because I am going to be insufferable on Twitter for weeks after that fact.
Hold on. You just got all the points. I'm giving you more. Love it.
Nutzy wants the Padres fans to have sons, beautiful, athletic, articulate sons, and he hopes they lose their legs. I hope you know that feel.
Well, guys, absolutely a fun time tonight. Love it. For all the listeners, appreciate you guys for watching along and joining in as well. Tell y'all, have a great Friday night. Thanks for joining. We'll see you all guys again in 2 weeks. Next week, of course, is Sicko Sound Off. Any last words for everyone? All at once.
See you guys later.
Bye.
Always going to be better next year.
If you ain't first, you're last, Ricky Bobby.
I also did the exact opposite of what Nutzy did. I came very unprepared. I was the typical content creator. I was doing research 20 minutes before this started. So
no, you were doing research 3 minutes before we started. We all can agree.
Okay.
All right. We're out. See you later. Bye-bye.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.